Hey, healthy humans. Today we're going to talk about meditation and mindfulness and how these two practices are like magic combinations when it comes to self-discovery and connecting with higher aspects of ourselves. Now, meditation and mindfulness are kind of these buzzwords, like, right? You hear them and go, oh yeah, meditation. I know I'm supposed to be meditating and I'm supposed to be mindful, and what exactly is it? And I don't really, my mind is too busy. I don't know how to meditate. I'm just not good at it, all of that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to talk about, what they are and the differences between them and how the practices combined really accelerate our journeys of self-discovery and being able to connect with our most authentic and highest selves. So, what is meditation and what is mindfulness? Meditation is a focusing exercise. It's a practice of telling our minds to focus on a very specific thing for a certain amount of time at the exclusion of everything else. So when we meditate, let's say we're going to focus on our breath. So we might set a timer for 10 minutes, or I like to do stopwatch instead of timer. So you don't have a loud beeping that's bringing you out of meditation, because that can actually be really jolting. So stopwatch feature is really nice on the phones or something else. But we tell ourselves, I'm going to focus on my breath for a certain amount of time. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. And whenever we have another thought that comes in, because we'll notice, right? As soon as you go, oh, how long has it been? Oh, can I get some water? Oh, wait, I forgot to send that email or that text, or what do I need to get at the grocery store? All these things are going to come into our mind. And when it does, we gently bring our awareness back to the focal point of the meditation. So if that's our breathing, we gently bring it back to the breath. We're not pushing it away, but it is an exercise, a practice in focusing. So it tells us we're working our way. It's called single-pointed concentration. This idea of we tell our mind what to focus on, and it might be one or two things. It doesn't have to be just one. You can have like 3 points of focus for a meditation. It might be better than one. So you might have a mudra, or a way your hands or fingers are touching. Then you have your breath, and then there might be a mantra also, or a sound that you're making, repeating over. So it doesn't have to be just one, but it's a focus. We keep bringing it right back to, here's the focus of my meditation. Then we have guided meditations, and these are really great. Different results and different ways. Guided meditations are amazing, especially for anyone just starting out meditating and you're like, I can't sit in silence. Silence can be really intimidating. Silence can be scary because we're starting to get to be with just ourselves. And then we really notice the thoughts that we have and go, oh my gosh, this is how I'm talking to myself, right? The thoughts that we have over and over. Well, what we do in meditation is we allow the thought forms to start to settle. They're called chittavrittis, and they just settle like in a snow globe. So if it's a guided meditation, the facilitator will guide you through different parts of the body, or different guided meditations have a different focus. It might be a heart-centered meditation or a creative visualization, but you're basically listening to the narrator's voice, and you're trying to stay awake, not falling asleep. The body starts to fall asleep, the mind still stays awake, and we keep our attention on the narrator's voice. It makes it less likely for the other thoughts because you have the stimulus of the sound and you're listening to that. So I do find that might be an easier way if you're new to meditating and the silence seems challenging at first, but it's not the only way to meditate. There are lots of different ways to meditate, and now research is starting to show that different parts of the brain light up. So different kinds of meditation actually have different effects. So there might be a meditation for, and self-hypnosis it's a type of meditation, but with a specific goal. So they all are kind of this similar, but a little bit different. So if you're new to meditating, just kind of explore and go, all right, I'm going to try a quiet meditation for 3 minutes, focusing on my breath. I'll do a guided meditation for 10 minutes. You can start to expand it. With meditation, it is a muscle. So you're increasing the amount of time that you can stay focused. And this is a really cool thing because especially in today's day and age, our attention spans go all over the place. So meditation allows us to increase our endurance for staying present. And that is a really wonderful skill. Now with mindfulness is the practice of observing the present moment, whatever you're doing right here at the present moment without any judgment. So it's a little bit different than meditation because you're bringing your awareness then back to whatever it is you're doing in the present moment. And you can be practicing mindfulness anytime that you're doing anything. I love to practice when I'm doing the dishes, and I am not crazy about housework. It's not my favorite thing. Like some of my girlfriends are so good at it and they love it. It's not one of my strengths. So at a time I was really deep in my grief. I was doing the dishes just seemed like it was one more chore on my list of things that I couldn't get done. And I was tempted to get rid of all of our plates and get paper plates, or not even. I was like, I don't even care. Like, let them fend for themselves. I was and so one night I put my hands in the water and I started washing the dishes, and I was kind of mad, like, I have to do these dishes. And I felt a pull holding my hands under the water. And it was a feeling, but it said, stay here, pay attention, do your work for work's sake. This is the work. And so I held my hands under the warm water, and it felt so good. I mean, the water just felt so good. And I thought, whoa, this really feels nice on my hands. And I started slowly scrubbing the dishes and feeling the soap and the bubbles and the warmth of the water, and enjoying the process of what I was doing at that moment, knowing that what I was doing was work for my family, and that it was taking care of my family, and it was making our home clean, and it was and then it was pretty amazing. I started being able to communicate with my late husband while I was doing the dishes. Because I was so mindful, it gave me a chance to and I would just look out the kitchen window and look at the lights and sometimes the rain and through the screens. And as I was doing this, I started being really present to what was at that time, noticing the smells, noticing the feeling of the dishes or the glasses or the water or the soap, noticing what I was looking at, the reflections on the window or street lights going, through the window, and the ways the street lights would reflect light and how they would change colors. And this became a really important practice for me, was the act of doing the dishes. And I think sometimes when we have something that we're not really crazy about doing, turning it into a mindfulness practice is a really beautiful thing, because not only does it make it so we're doing this duty with love, it becomes almost a devotion or a service, and then we're doing it out of love, when it's normally something that you would be like, oh, I don't want to do this. So you could try it with the dishes. And when it comes to mindfulness too, at the time I was deep in my grief, and I was suffering from trauma. There was a lot going on. I was way overwhelmed, a whole lot. But I was a really impatient parent at the time. I was really reactive. There was a lot happening, but I defaulted to this really impatient, hyper-reactive parent. That was not a good parent for me to be, and that was not good for my children. So as soon as I identified the pattern. The samskara is a pattern. It's a conditioned response. So again, we don't know that we're doing it. We can't see it. We actually can't even see it because we're We're looking through the lens of our own experiences. So for us to be able to change something about our lives or about ourselves, and it starts with us. We're not trying to change anybody else always, right? We always look within and go, okay, who is it that I'm being that has brought my own misery or negativity or suffering in some way? Who am I being? But we can't see it because it's like looking through the lens of green. You know, if you're wearing green glasses, everything you see is green. So we don't see that we're seeing green. We just see green. So as soon as I noticed this pattern of hyperreactivity and impatience, I had to change it. And now I used self-hypnosis in order to help me to anchor in new behaviors, but I used mindfulness to catch myself when I was going on automatic pilot. So I noticed when I was eating that I eat on the left side of my mouth. I just naturally, I'm always chewing on the left side. So as soon as I started implementing mindfulness into my everyday, so not just for my hour of yoga, not just for my 20-minute meditation or whatever it was, but this was mindful. How can I be mindfulness all day long while I'm awake? So I noticed the eating and I said, all right, well, I'm going to chew on the right side of my mouth. And then that way, if I'm ever catch myself eating on the left side, I know that I'm in automatic pilot. So I'm not paying attention. And when I'm not paying attention, that's more likely when I'm likely to default to old behaviors that I don't want. So I started chewing on the right side of my mouth, and that helped me to be able to just remind myself, oh, that's right. I made a commitment to be mindful today. I've made a commitment that this is my upgraded behavior today. And it also helps just with enjoying food. I noticed that, it's so easy for us if you do mindful walking. This is another great way just to take a walk and say, okay, I'm going to walk slowly. I'm going to notice how my feet land. Do I land on the heels? Do I land on the balls of my feet? Do I roll to the outside of my feet? Do I roll to the inside? Do I look down at the ground? Am I wanting to be on my phone while I'm walking? How do my arms swing? Do I like to hold my arms close to me? These are just things that we start noticing. And when we take a walk outside and pay attention to the birds or the trees or the colors and the sounds and the smells. And it's simply about noticing and paying attention to whatever you're doing and whoever you are being at that moment without judgment. Because through mindfulness, that's when we can identify samskaras, and that's when we give ourselves power over our lives to change our lives. Now, all of this helps us to see aspects of ourselves that we didn't see before. So if you think of yourself as a disco ball, and a disco ball has all these little fractions of glass, everywhere, mirrors reflecting off of them. And we are little reflections. We have all of these different aspects of ourselves. We're like a big puzzle piece, but we like to only see the parts that we want to see, and we tend to not see the parts that we don't want to see. This is why we can look at someone and go, oh my gosh, they're such a hypocrite. They say one thing and they do another. It's easy for us to see it in other people. It's much harder to see it in ourselves. But when we practice mindfulness, it's actually opening up the door to say, oh, I want to see this about myself. What is it about myself that I'm not seeing? And because those are the patterns that are keeping us stuck. So if there's a part of our lives that we're not content with, that we're not happy with, that we're not feeling fully satisfied with, the mindfulness practice is how we're going to be able to identify the patterns that are keeping us there. So that is so important. Sometimes it's a little bit painful. Not always, because some of them are small things. But the more we practice this skill of mindfulness and being able to identify without any judgment, right? There's no judgment, there's no shame. And we keep reminding ourselves of that, like, no, this is part of life. We're seeing more of who I am. I'm opening myself up to seeing more of who I truly am, because all of the outside stuff is a program. It's programming, and it's not permanent. This is all temporary. So that's what's so cool when we start to notice these things. And you'll notice a lot of things that you go, that's really cool. That's me. That's pretty amazing, you know? So it's not that we're only noticing the things that we don't like, but noticing the things that we don't like help us to be able to change them. So meditation, an amazing skill for quieting the chitta vrittis. It helps us to reset the nervous system. It's a focus exercise. We tell ourselves, I'm going to focus on this thing or this sound or this object for a certain amount of time. Everything else fades into the background. And the cool thing with that is that all the story that we tell ourselves about who we are and what we are and who they are and what they are, all of that fades into the background. It melts down to the ground, just like a snow globe. You know, everything is settling all the way down so we can see more clearly. Beautiful gift to meditation. Mindfulness practice brings us right into the present moment. This is the only moment that we have. This is it. This moment is the only moment that we have, right? The past has already gone by. The future is we don't know. We don't know what our future will be. It's not, but we have this moment right here, so we can simply be right here, right now, and we observe and we identify, and then we can make changes if we would like. So different practices, you combine the two of them together, and it's a powerful recipe for living wholeheartedly, for creating the life that you deserve to have, that we deserve to have, and for promoting healing within ourselves. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Melissa Uchida, and I am just so grateful to have you as a part of my community. Welcome to the Healthy Human Project. If you like this video, please consider liking it, subscribing it. I am a yogi, I'm a mom, I'm a mystic, I'm a widow, I am a student of life, and I am really passionate about finding out and what human beings need to thrive and to be resilient and to be joyful and to elevate our consciousness, right? I want to live a good life, and I want my kids to live good lives, and I want to live in a world where people live good lives. So it's a way of all of us getting healthy together and to go from surviving to thriving. So thanks, and I hope you see you on the journey. Okay.